You find me today at Rugeley Town Railway Station because, to be honest, I did not film an intro in Derby. But speaking of Derby, recently there has been an event on which has been dubbed as Glastonbury of the Railways, the greatest gathering. Like many content creators, I had no idea how I was going to make this video. I have been to events before like Railfest in 2012 and All Change Crew in 2019. And at one point I wasn't going to plan to make a video for the greatest gathering, but I thought, why not, let's do this. So let's see what's on display at the greatest gathering in Derby. The greatest gathering is a special event organised by Alston to celebrate 200 years since the first passenger train ran on the Stocktone and Darlington Railway, although Litchurch Lane Works didn't open until 1876. Established by the Midland Railway, it now holds the unique position of being the UK's only facility that designs, engineers, builds and tests trains for both domestic and export markets. Today we are here to have a look around to see what's on display, a rare opportunity as it's nearly been 50 years since Litchurch Lane last opened its doors to the public. I didn't use the train to get to Derby. Instead, my brother, who I paid for his ticket, drove me there as we travelled along the A38 and then past Derby station to find a location to park the car and began walking to the venue. So we have now made it to Derby. We're going to find Litchurch Lane Works now and start queuing up to get in. Also, you can just see behind me, Jordan's here. After a short walk, we arrived at the entrance, and after a quick bag search and scan the tickets, we joined the queue. So we're now coming inside, we're just queuing up at the moment to wait to get in. We began to move as they allowed us to enter the venue and past the entrance saying your journey begins here. What they didn't say is there was going to be a long one to try and see everything. But once we're in, let's start looking at some of the trains that attended. We shall start off with this lovely Class 50 diesel locomotive 5004 Exeter, as this is one of 5 Class 50s to attend the event, as these Class 50s belong and maintained by the Class 50 Alliance, and these Class 50s are based at Kidderminster at the Severn Valley Railway. Right next door to 50044 is the second Class 50, 50035, as it looks splendid in a special livery for the greatest gathering, which is nice and makes it stand out. Some classic Western Region traction is up next, as this is a Class 52 Western, the 1015 Western Champion. This is a diesel hydraulic locomotive built in Swindon Works and is the only example to be mainline certified. But we shall leave the heritage diesels for now, as I've got a train to catch. So we'd love to have a look at those heritage diesels, but at 10:30 we're actually booked on a steam train ride on a shuttle. So I'm going to find the steam train now, board it, have a quick wind up and down on the steam locomotive. However, this site is so huge that I cannot find where the steam train shuttle is departing from, as I pass a couple of train stands in one of the workshops, but after finding it... The good news is we just found it, but the bad news is we've just missed it. I'll tell you what, this site is absolutely massive. Yeah, the steam locomotive top and tail with the Class 37 diesel locomotive already left. But not to worry, I was booked on the 10:30 shuttle service, but spoke to a steward and they said we'd go on the 11 AM shuttle. So in the meantime, we checked out a few more exhibits. When this locomotive got announced, it was one that I wanted to see in person, the Ruston 48DS, works number 294266, and its name's Sir William McAlpine, which is Lorry Mechanical Marvel's locomotive. And also I want to say thank you to Lorry for a nice chat and for the selfie, and I do recommend checking his channel out. The Ruston 48DS were built in 1947 by Ruston Hornsby at their Lincoln Works, and they were designed for industrial use, and after seeing this locomotive, it's really cute. I would love a model of this locomotive. One of the newest locomotives is next. Rail Operations Group Class 93 Tri-Mode Locomotive. This is 93,009, as this was moving up and down, giving people cab tours and cab rides. We had to pay £93 for that experience, which I think it may have been for charity, but I'm not sure about that one. However though, I am sure about catching that steam train. Hopefully this time we might be able to get on the 11 o'clock steam shuttle. Let's see how this goes. We managed to get on board and we started moving. The steam locomotive is a London, Midland and Scottish Railway Jubilee class 45699 Galatea, as this was part of West Coast Railways. These were built by William Stanier, but this one carries the number of a scrap classmate, 45627 Sierra Leone. Also, her sister locomotive, 45596 Bahamas, was on display at the event as well. The return journey is worked by West Coast Railways Class 37516 Loch Leyden, as I saw this Class 37 passing through Manor Station once back in 2014, but we arrived back at the temporary platform and got off the steam train. It's now time to gronk it up with some Class 08 diesel shunters. First one is a Class 08E, 08308 from Positive Traction, as this is powered by electric to reduce its emissions to zero. And Vanguard, next door, the UK's first hydrogen battery shunter. And the final shunter belongs to Alston, 08721 Ken Davies, named in honour after long-serving Alston movements manager Ken Davies, and this was built in 1960 at Crewe Works. This is a locomotive I have not seen before. London, Midland and Scottish Railway Princess Royal Class 46203 Princess Margaret Rose, which has visited Derby Works between 1951 to 1952. These steam locomotives were used on the West Coast Main Line, and this one is owned by the Princess Royal Class Locomotive Trust. And speaking of Derby, here's a stunning locomotive built in Derby, Midland Railway Compound number 1000 from the National Railway Museum, built in 1902 at Derby Works, but was rebuilt in 1914 and was built for passenger work-ins. These Avanti West Coast Class 390 Pendolinos is a unit that I do see on the West Coast Main Line. This is 390-119 Progress in the awesome Pride Rainbow livery, which supports the LGBTQ+ community, but also decided to take a small break to have a look inside. Good evening, this is the Avanti West Coast service to Clanby, Portland, Lithgow, Gerrard, Drodworth, Lanceo, Go Go Go, calling at Stafford, Crewe, Chester, Flint, Prestatyn, Rill, Colwyn Bay, Llandudno Junction, Bangor, Clanby, Portland, Lithgow, Gerrard, Drodworth, Lanceo, Go Go Go. Due to short platforms, passengers to alight must board one carriage. Thank you very much. To the person who helped me film this, and I didn't catch your name, sorry, thank you. That was good. But it was awesome to do an announcement. But we have a stunning locomotive here, the Class 55 Deltic. These were built by English Electric for the East Coast Main Line. This one is D9015 to Leah. And if that's wrong, blame Google. This is in British Rail two-tone green and is owned by the Deltic Preservation Society. The Class 55 Deltic is a god-tier diesel locomotive, and if I have a dream chase, I would love to chase a Deltic from London King's Cross down to Waverley one day. I reckon that will be a great video. This locomotive is one that I haven't seen before. A British Railways Class 27056, built by the Birmingham Railway Carriage and Wagon Company and spent most of its life in Scotland. and worked the Royal Train in 1983, which is why it received the white stripe. This Class 27 belongs to the Northampton Type 2 group. After seeing the remaining Class 50s, time for some multiple units. As first, we see this former Southern Class 313, 313-201, used to be 313-001. This unit works services out of Brighton, and remember seeing this EMU on the East Coast Way. They are now withdrawn, and this one is owned by Peter Spokes, 400 Series Preservation Group. This next unit is a former West Midlands Railway Class 323, 323-221 in Regional Railway Centro livery, and its nickname Reggie. Honestly, that is a stunning livery. These Class 323 EMUs worked on the Cross City line between Lichfield, Trent Valley and Redditch or Bromsgrove before the Class 730s took over. This unit is currently stored at Long Marston and belongs to Porterbrook. This next unit used to work for Merseyrail but is now preserved. Class 507, 507-001, as this EMU is based in Derby since January 2025 for the launch of the Greatest Gathering. But after the event, the unit will be leaving Derby and heading to the Talent Valley Railway. To be honest, that Class 507 right behind me, 507-001, that is one of my favourite chases that I've ever done, chasing a train, especially chasing that across the Merseyrail Northern network. To be honest, this is awesome to see. Southeastern Class 465 painted in the Network Southeast livery in a modified version. This is 465-908 and named Chris Green, who was the former director who led the foundations of Network Southeast, and this unit is still in active service. To be honest, that Class 465 of that Network Southeast livery, that really does look epic. This electric multiple unit is a South Western Railway Class 455, built by BREL in York in the early 1980s to work third rail suburban services out of London. Southern had some Class 455s, but sadly the Southern Class 455s were all scrapped. But this unit was repainted in 2024 at Wimbledon Depot in the British Rail blue and grey livery. This unit is still in service and looks epic. This unit is different, as this used to be a Class 319, but now is a Class 799 Hydroflex. This is 799-201. It's the UK's first hydrogen-powered passenger train, and is currently being tested and belongs to Porterbrook. One of the oldest surviving standard gauge locomotives is up next. Furness Railway 040 No. 20 from the Furness Railway Trust. This locomotive was built in 1863 by Sharp, Stewart and Company in Cumbria. This is a one-of-a-kind locomotive, the Class 89 001 Avocet, nicknamed the Badger, as this was built as a prototype but did see passenger services for Intercity and GNER on the East Coast Main Line. It will return to mainline operations in the future, as this is part of Locomotive Services Limited and the AC Electric Group. This was interesting news from the event. This former Transport for Wales Class 150 diesel multiple unit, this has now been preserved, and is the first of its class to be preserved. This Class 150 150-231 will be at the Watercress Line, Midhants Railway, and looks epic in the Regional Railway Sprinter livery. To be honest, this Class 150 Sprinter does really look good in the Regional Railways livery, but it's now time for the main event, the feature attraction, and it's literally just right behind me here. That's right, the train that never dies. Yes, we had to see the Pacer. The Class 142 Pacer is 142013 from the Midlands Railway Centre in Butterley, a place that I would love to go in the future. These trains have worked on the railway network for 40 years. Love them or hate them, the Pacers will be around for years to come. To be honest, as much as I love Pacers, this was the star of the show at the Greatest Gathering. This event is part of the celebrations with 200 years of the first passenger train. This is Locomotion No.1, the first steam locomotive to haul passengers on a public railway. Locomotion No.1 was built by George and Robert Stephenson for the Stocktone and Darlington Railway. Sadly, this Class 35 High-Mech D7076 was supposed to be part of the show, but it felt like it was shoved out the way and fenced off, which kinda sucks to be honest. But this locomotive belongs to the Bury Hydraulic Group and is based at the East Lancashire Railway. Some people think this steam locomotive is overrated, but it does draw in the crowds. This is also the famous steam locomotive in the world. London North Eastern Railway A3 Pacific 60103 Flying Scotsman, as this locomotive was built in 1923 in Doncaster and was the first steam locomotive to officially reach 100 miles per hour. This locomotive was named after the service called the Flying Scotsman. The next two locomotives are Southern Railway rebuilt Merchant Navy class and were built by Oliver Bulleid, but in different works. This is 35028 Clan Line, which was built in EC Works in 1948, and also the first steam locomotive I saw in London and belongs to the Merchant Navy Locomotive Preservation Society. The other locomotive was 35018 British India Lines from West Coast Railways, and this locomotive was built in Brighton Works and still need to have a journey behind this steam locomotive. Do you want to tell us what loco we're having today, steam-wise?
British India Line.
I tried once, but the locomotive failed and was replaced by a Class 47 diesel locomotive on a rail tour that I was on. This Class 37 belongs to UK Rail Leasing, but painted in British Steel blue livery and operated by Eurofelix. 37501 T-size Steelmaster. This livery it wears is a lovely livery and was first applied in 1987 at Thornbury Depot. Wonder if this locomotive is Thornbury 37's favourite locomotive. That Class 37 right behind me, 37501, with the Northern Class 331, I actually did a chase video with that, and honestly, I am still not happy how the result went. But that will be a future video on SimOnTrains to look at in the future. This locomotive is one of 4468 Mallard's sister locomotives. London North Eastern Railway A4 Pacific 60007 Sir Nigel Gresley. This locomotive is named after the chief mechanical engineer of the London North Eastern Railway who built the iconic A4 steam locomotives and also other locomotives like Flying Scotsman. The London North Eastern Railway A1 peppercorns were built in the late 1940s, but this one was built in 2008. 60163 Tornado. This locomotive is a new build as non-survived preservation. 601456 Mungo was planned to be preserved but sadly was unsuccessful. In 2017 Tornado was also the first locomotive to reach 100 miles per hour since British Steam ended in 1968. Let's have a look at the future. This is GB Railfreight Class 99, the first of a new generation of hybrid freight locomotives and built by Stadler Rail. This is 99001 and has a maximum speed of 100 miles per hour for passenger trains and 75 miles per hour for freight. To be honest, it really looks nice. GB Railfreight Class 66, 66719 has recently been repainted into a special livery to celebrate Railway's 200 and is part of the inspiration train, but also has been named Michael Portillo. Yep, Michael Portillo was at the greatest gathering, and to be honest, I'm now gutted that I did not attend the show on Friday. Really wanted to meet him. However, I did bump into a few friends. So we haven't got long left, but we have bumped into Tico Sprinter.
Hello, mate.
And also Reese's Trains for the first time. How are you finding it today?
Oh, amazing. It's been fantastic. I think the highlight for me has to be going in that Pride Pendolino.
Really?
Best thing, mate, yeah.
You know, I did an announcement on that for Climb by a Paul Gligliff.
We did as well.
I did an Avanti announcement at 4:52 for Edinburgh Waverley to London Euston. Tico's.
I did a Central Trains announcement.
But you're happy you see the Sprinter now?
I am over the moon. It's preserved. They say come along for volunteering purposes. They're making a Facebook group about it. So yeah, I'm on board with it now.
That's good. At least you had a good day.
Yes.
If there's one thing that I haven't seen, the 170.
There's no turbo
There's no turbo start.
It's East Midlands Railway screwed up.
But to be honest though, and I will say this now, you did need more than one day at this event.
Yes, you need more than one day here.
It's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There was a few trains that I still wanted to see, like this British Rail Class 23 Baby Deltic, D5910, as an older class entered preservation. They're using a Class 37 to transform it into a Class 23, and is owned by the Baby Deltic Project Limited. This new train hasn't entered service yet, but this is a Transport for Wales Class 398 CityLink tram trains for the Cardiff Valley lines. This is my personal opinion, but I do have a small gripe how poorly positioned this was. If you got new trains that haven't entered service yet, why put them in the corner? Because surely they should be displayed as a centrepiece than a side attraction. This is 398019. If you see something that doesn't look right, contact the British Transport Police on 69016. See it, say it, sort it. And what I'm seeing is a GB Railfreight Class 69 diesel locomotive 69016, and it's called British Transport Police. This locomotive was named at London Waterloo Station. This strange and quirky locomotive is the Metropolitan Railway's Bobo, number 12 Sarah Siddons, which was built by the Metropolitan Bickers for the Metropolitan Railway, which is now the London Underground's Metropolitan line. This locomotive is Britain's oldest operational electric locomotive. So the time now is 4 o'clock, and unfortunately we got to vacate the premises because they got to start moving all this stuff out, and it's got to be all gone by Monday. Because it's actually a work site where they built multiple units here, especially the new Class 345s for Crossrail, because they're building additional units, so it's time to leave. We did leave the premises as they needed to clear people out, as the first exhibit was going to leave very shortly. 60103 Flying Scotsman, as the steam locomotive was heading to Shildon to be on display. But this is the part where I want to thank everyone who was involved with this massive event. A special thank you to Alston as well, as this was an epic gathering of locomotive, multiple units and rolling stock. I know people were talking, could there be a celebration of 250 years of the railways? But what about 200 years of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway in 5 years' time from now? Would the next massive event be celebrating 200 years of the first intercity railway? We'll find out in 5 years' time. Litchurch Lane Works was absolutely massive. I think it was 90 acres. And there was a lot to see there, but unfortunately I did not get to see everything. There were some locomotive and units that I did not see. There was also model railways there, but sadly I did not get to see any of the model railway layouts as it was absolutely rammed in that workshop. But also to the people who come up and said hello to me on the day, I want to say thank you to you all. It has been great chatting to you all, and hopefully you had a good day, because to be honest, I've also had a good day at the Greatest Gathering as well. For now, I'm going to drop another video right here. Feel free to give that a click. The people on screen now are YouTube channel members and Patreon supporters. Thank you for supporting the channel. I've been SimOnTrains, and hope to see you next railway station so we can share a new journey together. Thanks for watching.